Welcome to this new episode of Unlocked English. I'm happy you are here, and I hope you feel calm and ready to learn. Today, we're going to talk about something very important in language learning, something simple, powerful, and life-changing. We're talking about listening and shadowing, and how spending 1 hour a day with these two skills can slowly change the way you hear, speak, and understand English. Listening and shadowing may sound like difficult words, but they are very simple. Listening means focusing on the sounds, words, and rhythm of English. Shadowing means speaking at the same time as the audio, just a little behind it, like a soft echo. Many learners hear about shadowing and think it's too hard, but the truth is different. Shadowing becomes easy when you do it slowly, calmly, and without pressure. Today, we're going on a long, relaxing journey together. I'm speaking with a slow rhythm so you can understand every sentence. I want you to imagine that we're walking together through a peaceful place, maybe a quiet street or a park or a warm room with a soft light. And we're talking about how 1 hour of listening and shadowing can make your English open up just like a door that was closed for years. Some people think 1 hour is too much. Some people think it's impossible. But 1 hour is not a big thing when you do it the right way. 1 hour can feel soft, enjoyable, and even meditative when you choose the right audio, the right mood, and the right method. Many language learners don't know this. 1 hour of focused listening is more powerful than many hours of studying with stress. When I was learning another language in the past, I didn't understand this. I tried to memorize grammar rules, vocabulary lists, and difficult phrases. I tried to read things that were too hard for me. I did everything except the most important thing, simply listening. I didn't give my ears enough time with the language. I thought listening was passive. But later, I understood that listening is actually the strongest tool a learner has, especially in the beginning. One day, someone told me, stop worrying, just listen. And I didn't understand what they meant at first. How can listening replace studying? How can listening change my speaking? How can listening help me remember words? But then I tried it. I listened every day, little by little, and something magical happened. I began to understand more. I began to feel the language inside my mind. I began to repeat words naturally. And when I tried shadowing, everything changed even more. Today, I want to share this beautiful experience with you in a simple and gentle way so you don't make the same mistakes I made. I want this episode to be like a calm guide for you, a long conversation that makes you feel safe, motivated, and ready to practice. So let's begin by imagining something. Imagine you sit down for 1 hour. Maybe you're at home. Maybe you're outside with headphones. The world is quiet. Your phone is in your hand or in your pocket. The audio starts. A voice begins speaking English with a calm and clear tone. At first, your brain feels a little slow. You try to understand every word. Then you stop trying. You just listen. You let the language flow around you like water. You hear the sounds, not the details. You relax, and slowly, things start becoming familiar. This is the real beginning of learning. Listening is not about understanding everything. Listening is about training the ear. When a baby learns their first language, they don't understand anything at first, but they listen for months just listening, and their brain becomes strong. Your brain works the same way. It just needs time with the sounds, time without pressure, time without fear. That's why 1 hour of listening every day is powerful. It's like giving your brain a warm bath in English. It makes the language feel friendly. It makes the sounds feel normal. And when something feels normal, the brain learns it much faster. Now let's imagine shadowing. Shadowing is not repeating perfectly. Shadowing is not speaking fast. Shadowing is not copying every word with 100% accuracy. Shadowing is simple. You listen and speak softly at the same time, like a shadow behind the original voice. You don't have to be loud. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to speak fast. You only need to follow the rhythm. In the beginning, when I tried shadowing, I felt strange. I felt slow. I felt like my tongue couldn't move in the right way. But after some days, something changed. My mouth became softer. My voice became smoother. My pronunciation became more natural. And I noticed something amazing. Words that were difficult before suddenly became easy to say. Shadowing teaches your mouth how to move. It trains your tongue. It trains your breathing. It trains your voice. And all of this happens naturally without effort when you do it slowly. Today, many learners think shadowing must be fast and intense. They think they must repeat everything exactly at the same speed as the speaker. But that's not true. Real learning happens when you go slow. Real learning happens when you enjoy the process. Real learning happens when you feel calm. Imagine doing 1 hour of listening and shadowing every day. What happens after 1 week? Your ears start recognizing words faster. What happens after 2 weeks? You begin to understand sentences without thinking. What happens after 1 month? You start speaking with more confidence, even if you weren't practicing speaking directly. What happens after 3 months? People notice the difference in your pronunciation, your rhythm, your confidence, your flow. It's amazing how much progress you can make without studying rules or memorizing lists. Your brain learns naturally when it hears the language again and again. Some people worry. What if I don't have 1 hour? But you do. Maybe not at once, but you can divide it. 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes at night. That's already 1 hour. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. But if you can do the full hour in one calm session, it becomes more powerful because after 20 minutes, your brain enters a deeper listening mode. Everything becomes easier. Everything becomes more fluent. Everything becomes more natural. In this episode, I want you to understand something important. Listening and shadowing are not exercises. They are habits. They are soft habits, slow habits, relaxing habits. They don't need stress. They don't need perfection. They only need time. I know many learners who study grammar for years, but still can't speak. I know many who memorize vocabulary, but forget it quickly. But when they start listening and shadowing every day, their speaking becomes better without any special study techniques. Why? Because listening builds a foundation and shadowing builds a voice. Imagine someone who listens every day but never shadows. Their understanding becomes strong, but speaking may still feel difficult. Imagine someone who shadows every day but doesn't listen enough. Their pronunciation may improve, but their comprehension may stay weak. But someone who does both gently, naturally, becomes a balanced learner. Someone who listens is training the brain. Someone who shadows is training the mouth. Put the two together, and English begins to feel like part of you. Sometimes learners say, I don't know what to listen to, but the truth is simple. You can listen to anything that feels calm and clear. Podcasts like this one, simple videos, easy stories, slow English content, soft conversational audio, anything with a warm rhythm and clear pronunciation. When something feels relaxing, your brain opens. When something feels stressful, your brain closes. So choose peace. Choose something that makes you feel safe and comfortable. Sometimes people ask, should I understand everything I listen to? And the answer is no, not at all. Understanding is not the goal. Exposure is the goal. Your brain learns English not because you analyze it, but because you hear it repeatedly. If you listen to one episode many times, you will learn faster than listening to 10 episodes only once. Repetition is a secret. When you listen again, your brain notices details that it didn't notice before. Sound become words. Words become sentences. Sentences become meaning. This is how the brain works. Now imagine combining repetition with shadowing. Imagine listening to the same audio 5 times while softly repeating after it. Little by little, the sounds become familiar. The words become part of your memory. The sentences become part of your speaking. The rhythm becomes part of your voice. This is the magic of 1 hour listening and shadowing. You will notice something interesting after some weeks. You begin to think in English without trying. This is because the language becomes automatic. Your brain starts using English naturally, like a quiet background voice inside your mind. This is when learning becomes beautiful. This is when you feel progress. And the best part is that you don't need to force anything. You don't need to push yourself. You don't need to memorize. You only need to listen and shadow slowly, gently, and consistently. When I look back at my own learning journey, I remember many moments of frustration, moments when I felt stuck, moments when I felt slow, moments when I thought I wasn't smart enough. But now I understand that the problem was not me. The problem was the method. I wasn't giving my ears enough time with the language. I wasn't giving my mouth enough practice with the rhythm. I was working hard, but not smart. If I could go back in time, I would tell my younger self, listen more, shadow more, go slow, relax, take your time. The language will come to you. And that's what I want to tell you today. Listening and shadowing are gentle practices. They don't need pressure. They don't need perfection. They only need presence. As you continue this journey, you may start to notice something subtle in your daily life. When you listen for 1 hour and shadow gently, your brain stays connected to English even after the session ends. You might hear a sentence in your mind while you're walking. You might repeat a small phrase when you're cooking or cleaning. You might hear the rhythm of English while you're thinking about something else. This happens because 1 hour of focused listening activates a language deeply inside your memory. I remember a time when I was practicing another language every morning. I would sit with my headphones, close my eyes, and listen. At first, it felt like nothing was changing. For many days, I thought, this is too slow. But then, one day, while I was walking outside, I heard a phrase in that language in my mind without trying. It came naturally like a soft echo, and I realized that my brain was learning quietly in the background. That moment changed the way I looked at language learning forever. When you give the brain enough listening input, the language becomes alive inside you, not because you memorize information, but because you experience it. Shadowing strengthens this experience even more. When you speak along with the audio, even softly, your body joins the process. Your mouth, your tongue, your breath, everything learns a new rhythm. And when your body learns, your mind relaxes. Many learners feel stressed when they speak English. They think too much. They worry about making mistakes. They feel shy. But shadowing removes this pressure because you're not speaking alone. You're speaking with the audio. You're following the guide. You're not expected to be perfect. You're just joining the sound, step by step. And with time, this builds confidence, strong confidence, the kind that grows naturally from repetition. One of the most beautiful things about shadowing is how it helps you feel less afraid of speaking. Fear often comes from the unknown, from sound that feels strange and unfamiliar. But when you shadow every day, those sounds stop being strangers. They become friends. You get used to them. You get comfortable. And comfort is a foundation of confidence. Sometimes learners ask themselves why speaking feels so hard. But the truth is that speaking is not hard. Speaking with stress is hard. Speaking with fear is hard. Speaking when you don't feel ready is hard. But shadowing gives you a safe space to practice without judgment. You simply follow the audio and slowly your speaking muscles become stronger. You begin to trust your voice. Imagine doing this for 1 hour every day for 1 month. Imagine how many hours of gentle practice your mouth receives. Imagine how many hours of calm listening your brain enjoys. Imagine how many small improvements happen inside you without you even noticing. Now imagine 3 months or 6 months. The difference becomes huge. I want you to think about this in a simple way. If a child listens to their native language every day for hours, they learn naturally. They don't study grammar. They don't memorize lists. They just listen, and eventually they speak. The human brain was designed to learn language through sound. Listening is the most natural way. It has always been. You may have heard people say, speak from day one. But I believe something softer. Listen from day one and speak when your brain feels ready. When you shadow, you are speaking, but without stress. You're letting your voice grow slowly, without fear. This is a beautiful balance, and it works for everyone. Sometimes people think they need a teacher to correct every mistake, but mistakes correct themselves when you listen enough. When you hear a word used correctly again and again, your brain slowly fixes your understanding. You start using it the right way without even thinking. This is why listening is so powerful. It teaches you naturally. Shadowing works the same way. When you repeat the rhythm of English daily, your speaking becomes more natural automatically. Your accent becomes smoother. Your breathing becomes more controlled. Your sentences flow more easily. You don't force it, it just happens. Let's imagine a full hour of listening and shadowing together. Maybe you start with 10 minutes of warm listening, just calm listening without repeating. Then the audio continues, and you begin shadowing softly, not loudly, not fast, just gentle repetition. Maybe you miss some words. Maybe you fall behind. Maybe you feel slow. That's perfectly fine. You continue anyway. You let the voice guide you like a soft current in a river. You follow the flow. After 30 minutes, your brain becomes more relaxed. You stop forcing anything. The sound enters your ears more smoothly. The words feel lighter. The rhythm feels more natural. And even if you don't notice it, your brain is learning patterns, patterns of grammar, patterns of pronunciation, patterns of sentence structure. This is the magic of long listening sessions. Short sessions are helpful, but long sessions unlock something deeper. They give your mind time to adjust. They allow your ears to settle into sound. They activate long-term learning. When you reach the final part of your hour, something else happens. You begin to feel comfortable with the voice. You begin to feel connected to the language. You feel that the sounds are less foreign and more familiar. This feeling is the beginning of fluency, not perfect fluency, but emotional fluency, the feeling of belonging to the language. Sometimes learners forget how important emotions are in learning. When you feel relaxed and connected to the language, your brain remembers better. When you feel stressed or pressured, your brain closes its doors. That's why calm listening and gentle shadowing are so effective. They keep the brain open. When I was practicing another language, I discovered something interesting. I noticed that my speaking improved more from listening and shadowing than from studying vocabulary. I remembered words more easily when I heard them many times in real conversations, not when I studied them from a list. And I realized that my brain was learning the way it was designed to, through repeated sound. The more I listened, the more I understood, the more I shadowed, the more fluent I became. And over time, something beautiful happened. I stopped translating in my head. When I wanted to say something, the sentence appeared in the new language naturally. It didn't happen in one day. It happened slowly, softly, like sunrise. And this is exactly what I want you to experience. Imagine this happening to you. Imagine waking up one day and noticing that English feels easier. You listen to a podcast and understand more than before. You speak a sentence and it comes out smoothly. You hear a phrase and your brain recognizes it instantly. All of this becomes possible when you listen and shadow consistently. Some people think they need talent to learn a language, but talent is not important. Consistency is. If you show up every day, the language will show up for you. If you give the language time, it will give you fluency. It's a slow process, but a beautiful one. And the best part is this. Listening and shadowing can become a peaceful part of your life. You can enjoy it. You can relax. You can make it your quiet moment of the day. Some people listen while drinking tea. Some people shadow softly while walking. Some people do it before sleep. There is no one correct way. There's only your way. If you choose the right audio, calm, clear, simple, the hour becomes enjoyable, not heavy. And when something is enjoyable, you repeat it again and again without effort. You don't need to push yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to show up. Over time, you will feel something beautiful. The language starts walking with you. It becomes part of your thoughts, part of your voice, part of your daily life. And when this happens, learning stops being a task and becomes a natural experience. Sometimes I like to think that listening is like planting seeds in your mind, and shadowing is like giving the plant sunlight. With time, the seeds grow. With time, the plant becomes strong. You don't see the growth every day, but it's happening quietly, deeply, naturally. You don't need to measure every small improvement. You don't need to analyze your progress. Just keep going. Keep listening. Keep shadowing. The progress will happen on its own. Language learning is not about speed. It's about direction. And if your direction is listening and shadowing, You're going the right way. As you continue building this habit, you may start to notice small moments where English feels different inside your mind. You might listen to someone speak, and instead of trying to translate every word, you feel the meaning, you feel the rhythm, you feel the intention behind the sentences. This is a result of long listening, the kind of listening that goes deeper than the surface. Every language has a music, a melody, a natural flow. English has one too. And when you listen for 1 hour a day, your mind slowly begins to understand this music without trying. You hear how sentences rise and fall. You hear where speakers pause. You hear how certain words connect to each other. And this musical understanding becomes one of the biggest keys to fluency. Shadowing helps you join this music. When you speak along with the audio, your voice slowly learns a melody. You begin to imitate the tone, not just the words. You begin to imitate the feeling, not just the meaning. And this is what makes your speaking sound more natural. People often think pronunciation is only about saying sounds correctly, but pronunciation is also about rhythm, movement, timing, breathing, and emotion. Shadowing trains all of these at the same time. You don't need special exercises. You don't need complex explanations. You only need to follow the voice gently and let your body learn. The first few days of shadowing might feel strange. You may feel slow. You may feel like you're not doing it right. But that's exactly how every new skill feels. When a child learns to walk, their steps are not perfect at the beginning, but they continue. They try again, and eventually they walk with confidence. Shadowing is the same. You begin with small steps. They don't need to be perfect. They just need to be consistent. Sometimes during your hour, you might lose focus. Your mind might wander. You might think about something else. This is completely normal. Learning is not a straight line. It's soft, flexible, and human. When your attention returns to the audio, just continue listening. You don't need to judge yourself. You don't need to force concentration. Natural attention always comes back on its own. There may also be moments when you feel tired or bored. That's okay. It doesn't mean the method isn't working. It only means your brain needs a small moment of rest. Listening for 1 hour is like a gentle workout for your mind. Even calm content requires energy. When you feel this tiredness, observe it, breathe, and continue. Every minute of listening strengthens your understanding. After many days of practice, something beautiful begins to happen. English starts to feel familiar. You stop feeling like an outsider to the language. Instead, you begin to feel like someone who belongs to it. This emotional shift is important. Feeling comfortable with a language is just as important as understanding it. I remember a moment when I was listening to a long audio in another language. At the beginning, I felt like I was far away from the sound, like the language belonged to someone else. But after weeks of listening, the feeling changed. I felt closer. I felt invited. I felt like I could step inside the language instead of watching it from outside. This feeling helped me learn faster because I stopped resisting the sound. I accepted it. And when you accept something, your brain becomes open to it. Listening is not just about language. It's also about connection. When you listen to a calm voice for a long time, you feel connected to the speaker. You understand their rhythm. You recognize their style. You become part of the conversation, even if you are silent. This emotional connection creates trust, and trust is one of the strongest learning tools. Shadowing adds another layer to this connection. When you repeat after the speaker, your voice joins theirs. You become part of the flow. You feel like you are practicing together, not alone. And this feeling of not being alone makes learning easier. Many learners feel lonely on their language journey. They feel like they are struggling by themselves. But when you listen and shadow, you have a partner, the voice in your audio. You have someone guiding you. You have someone supporting you. This makes learning feel warmer and more human. When you practice shadowing with a calm voice every day, you may begin to notice changes in your breathing. Your breath becomes slower. Your speech becomes smoother. Your words flow more easily. This is because shadowing teaches you not only how to speak, but how to breathe while speaking. Breath is the foundation of good pronunciation. Some learners speak too fast because they are nervous. Others speak too slowly because they are thinking too much. But when you shadow, your breath starts to follow the natural rhythm of English. You learn when to pause. You learn when to continue. You learn the natural speed without forcing it. 1 hour of listening and shadowing trains both your mind and your body. It trains your ears, your voice, your memory, your confidence, your rhythm, your breathing, and even your emotion toward a language. This is why the method feels so complete. You might wonder why 1 hour is such a special number. Why not 5 minutes? Why not 10? 5 or 10 minutes are useful, but they don't take you deep enough. They help, but they don't create transformation. 1 hour creates a deeper state of listening, a state where your mind stops resisting and starts absorbing. Think about it this way. When you enter a warm room from the cold outside, it takes time for your body to adjust. You don't feel warm immediately. It takes minutes. Listening is the same. Your brain needs time to sink into the sound. After 20 minutes, you begin to relax into the rhythm. After 30 minutes, you begin to hear more details. After 40 minutes, deeper learning begins. And after 60 minutes, something changes inside you. You feel closer to language. When you finish your hour, you may feel peaceful. Your mind may feel quiet. Your heart may feel soft. Learning doesn't need to be stressful. It can be gentle. It can be calm. It can even feel like meditation. Imagine doing this every day. Imagine beginning your morning with 1 hour of listening and shadowing. Or imagine ending your night with it. Over time, it becomes a ritual, a moment of peace in your day, a moment when you connect not only with English, but with yourself. You might not see big progress in the first week. That's normal. Real progress appears slowly, like a plant growing under the soil. But after a few weeks, you will notice small changes. Your listening will become stronger. Your speaking will feel easier. Your fear will decrease. Your confidence will grow. After a few months, people around you may notice the difference. They may say your accent sounds better. They may say your speaking feels smoother. They may say you understand faster. These are the natural results of long listening and gentle shadowing. And the best part is that these improvements stay with you. They don't disappear. They become part of your long-term memory. They become part of your identity in English. Because when you learn through sound, the learning becomes deep. Some learners try many complicated methods. They jump from one technique to another. They watch videos about grammar rules. They search for shortcuts. But the truth is simple. The ear is the door to the language. If your ear becomes strong, everything becomes easier Speaking, reading, writing, thinking. Listening is the foundation. Shadowing is the bridge. Together, they create the path to fluency. There may be days when you don't feel motivated, days when you feel tired, days when you feel busy. On those days, remember something important. You don't need perfection. You only need consistency. Even if you feel low energy, you can still listen. Even if you feel quiet, you can still shadow softly. Your brain learns even when you feel slow. Sometimes I like to imagine the language as a river. When you listen, you sit by the river and watch the water move. When you shadow, you step into the river and feel the water around your feet. You don't need to swim fast. You only need to feel the movement. Over time, the river becomes familiar, and eventually you can swim without fear. This is the way of listening and shadowing. Soft, slow, deep, powerful. As you continue practicing day after day, you start noticing a quiet strength growing inside you. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not something you see in one moment. It grows slowly, just like the morning light entering your room without making a sound. This quiet strength is your listening ability. It's the foundation of every skill you build in English. And 1 hour of listening every day feeds this foundation deeply. Some days you may feel your progress clearly. You listen to a new audio and understand much more than before. You shadow a sentence and it comes out easily. You read something and feel the words flowing naturally in your mind. These moments feel beautiful, and they remind you why you started. Other days, you may not feel progress at all. You may be tired or distracted. You may feel slow. But slow days are not failures. They are part of the process. Every long-term skill has slow days. The important thing is that you continue, gently without pressure. Your brain learns even when you feel low energy. Think of listening like watering a plant. Some days the plant grows visibly. Some days nothing seems to change. But with consistency, the plant becomes bigger, stronger, and more alive. Your English works the same way. The growth may be invisible at first, but it is happening quietly and naturally. Sometimes you may wonder if 1 hour is really necessary. You may think that 15 minutes or 20 minutes is enough. And small practice is still helpful, of course. But there's something special about 1 full hour. 1 hour gives your mind enough time to enter a deep state of listening, a state where learning becomes more natural and more automatic. In the first minutes, your mind is still thinking about other things, your day, your plans, your worries. But as you continue, the thoughts become quieter. The voice in your audio becomes your focus. The language becomes the center of your attention. After 20 or 30 minutes, your brain begins to absorb the sound more deeply. After 40 minutes, the learning becomes stronger. After 1 hour, the experience feels complete. Shadowing works in a similar way. At the beginning of the hour, your voice may feel stiff. Your tongue may feel slow. Your pronunciation may feel heavy. But as you continue, your voice becomes lighter. Your rhythm becomes more natural. Your confidence becomes stronger. By the end of the hour, your speaking starts to feel smoother than before. This is one of the reasons why long practice is so powerful. It gives your body time to adjust. It gives your voice time to relax. It gives your ears time to open. There is another thing that makes 1 hour special. It becomes a ritual, a personal moment in your day. a moment where you step away from noise, stress, and speed and step into calm learning. When something becomes a ritual, it becomes a habit you don't want to skip. It becomes something you look forward to. Some learners listen in the morning when the world is quiet and their mind is fresh. Others listen at night when everything slows down and they want a peaceful moment before sleep. Some listen during a walk, enjoying the movement of their body while shadowing softly. Some listen while drinking tea or sitting in a comfortable place. There is no perfect time. The best time is the time that feels right for you. As you build this daily habit, you will also start noticing improvements in your emotional connection to English. The language stops feeling like a foreign wall and starts feeling like a doorway. Listening opens a doorway, and shadowing helps you step through it. The more time you spend with English in a calm state, the more the language becomes part of your identity. People often think language is only about words and grammar, but language is also about emotion, confidence, rhythm, and connection. When you listen calmly, English begins to feel safe. When you shadow gently, English begins to feel possible. And when something feels safe and possible, your brain learns it more easily. Imagine a learner who studies grammar every day but rarely listens. They may understand rules, but speaking feels difficult and unnatural. Now imagine another learner who listens and shadows every day. They may not know every grammar rule, but their speaking will feel more fluent, more comfortable, and more connected. This is because grammar is the structure of the language, but listening is the soul of the language. You may also notice that listening improves your thinking in English. When you hear the language for 1 hour every day, you begin thinking English more often. You hear phrases in your mind naturally. You remember sentences without trying. You build thoughts using English patterns. This thinking ability is one of the strongest signs of real progress. Thinking in English is not something you force. It grows naturally from repeated listening. Shadowing makes it even stronger because speaking along with the audio forms a direct bridge between your listening and your speaking. You don't translate, you respond. You follow the voice. You join the rhythm. And little by little, English becomes a language your mind uses automatically. Sometimes learners ask themselves why they forget new words easily. But forgetting is normal when words are not connected to sound. When you memorize vocabulary from a list, the words stay in your short-term memory. They don't last long because they are not part of a meaningful sound experience. But when you hear the same words many times while listening, they enter your long-term memory naturally. Shadowing helps even more. When you repeat a word with your own voice, your memory becomes stronger. You feel the word physically in your mouth, in your breath, in your sound. The combination of listening and speaking makes the memory deeper. This is why 1 hour of listening and shadowing helps you remember words without studying. Another beautiful part of this practice is how it changes your relationship with mistakes. Many learners fear making mistakes, so they avoid speaking. They wait until they are ready, but the truth is that no one ever feels completely ready. Shadowing helps you cross this fear because you don't speak alone. You follow the voice. You don't decide the sentences. They come from the audio. This removes pressure. You don't worry about making mistakes because you are repeating something correct. With time, your brain becomes comfortable speaking English without fear. This emotional change is just as important as improving your pronunciation. Confidence is part of fluency. As you continue your 1 hour routine, You may find certain voices or certain audios that you connect with more strongly than others. This is natural. Your mind likes some rhythms more than others. When you find an audio that feels calm, clear, and warm, you can use it again and again. Repetition with familiar content is not boring, it is powerful. Every time you listen again, you hear something new. Every time you shadow again, your speaking becomes smoother. You don't need hundreds of different audios. Even 5 or 6 audios are enough for deep learning when you repeat them. In fact, repetition is one of the biggest secrets of language growth. When something becomes familiar, the brain learns it deeply. When something is always new, the brain learns only the surface. Some learners worry that repeating the same audio will be boring. But when you listen in a calm state, repetition feels comfortable. It feels safe. It feels like revisiting a familiar place. You discover new details every time. You understand more every time. You feel more confident every time. The most important thing is that you stay patient. You don't need to hurry. You don't need to judge yourself. You don't need to compare yourself to others. Your journey is your own. Your progress has its own rhythm. And the rhythm of 1 hour listening and shadowing is slow, steady, and effective. There may be days when you miss your practice. That's okay. You can continue the next day. The journey is long, and missing one day doesn't take away your progress. What matters is that you return with calmness and kindness toward yourself. Sometimes, during your 1 hour, you may feel emotional. You may feel peaceful. You may feel proud. You may feel quiet. Listening has a way of touching something deep inside us. It slows the mind and helps us focus. It can even feel healing. When you shadow, your voice joins this healing process. You become part of something larger, the flow of the language itself. As you reach the end of your hour, you might feel a sense of completion, a sense of calm energy, a sense of progress, even if small. These feelings matter. They keep you going. They remind you that learning a language can be a gentle and beautiful experience. If you continue this routine for weeks and months, you will begin to see real transformation, not dramatic or sudden, but deep and lasting. Your listening will become sharper. Your speaking will become smoother. Your confidence will become stronger. And English will begin to feel like a place you can live in, not just visit. This is the secret of 1 hour of listening and shadowing. It's not magic. It's not a shortcut. It's a natural method that respects the way the human brain learns language. Simple, gentle, deep. As we come to the end of this long episode, I want you to remember something important. You are not behind. You are not slow. You are not bad at languages. You are simply on a journey, a personal journey. And every minute you spend listening brings you closer to fluency. Your ears are learning. Your voice is growing. Your mind is opening. Your confidence is building. Your English is becoming alive. Keep listening. Keep shadowing. Keep learning gently. And little by little, you will unlock your English.